गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरु साक्षात् महेश्वर। गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरुदेव महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषयभवरोगिणां देहिधरो विद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्ये सर्वदा। गजाननं भूतगणासेवितं गपिध्वजं बहुबलसारभक्षितं मासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं जगते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं देशगदानं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मणे वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणे विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं चैव जयमुदीरयेत्. Last time we looked at the Vaivahika Parva, that is the wedding chapter. So Pandavas returned to Drupada. Pandavas went to Drupada's palace, and there Drupada prepared for the wedding ceremony. He wasn't sure whether it's going to be a Brahmana wedding or Kshatriya wedding. He prepared for all the possibilities. And then he learns from Yudhishthira that they are indeed Pandavas. He was very happy. And then Yudhishthira tells them that all of them are going to marry them. That surprises Drupada. And then Vyasa comes and Vyasa explains the reasons why all of them should marry Draupadi. And they all marry Draupadi. And after that, they stay in Panchala and then that news of Pandava's survival and marrying Draupadi spreads everywhere. Soon, this news reaches Dhritarashtra as well, and Dhritarashtra was happy, or at least he showed happiness, and Vidura tells him that keep that happiness towards your brother's children, same way as you just did. And once Vidura leaves, Duryodhana and everybody comes there, and they all start saying that they have to do something. And they were very angry that Dhritarashtra was happy with this news of Pandava's survival. And at that time, Duryodhana says that they have to find a way where Pandavas among themselves start fighting with each other so that they don't have to do anything. But Karna says they have tried all the cunning means. They have tried everything from giving poison to Bhima, trying to create disharmony among the brothers. They tried everything, and even they tried to kill them through Lakshagraha in Varnavrat. Through that house, they tried to kill them. He says that all of you are descendants of Bharata, and this earth, the only way you can retain and gain is by powers. So you have to fight for it, and then only you can do it. So, and Kshatriyas always have to fight and win. They should not go by cunning means. That's not the way. The dharma for Kshatriyas is bravery. So they have to be brave and fight for it. Dhritarashtra agrees with what Karna says, but then he says, I want to discuss this with Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and Vidura before coming to any conclusion, whether to attack Panchala and Pandavas and win, or whether to do something else. So he says, I want to discuss with them. He says, with that, he calls all his seniors, so Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, and also his brother Vidura, he calls them, and all his ministers. So when they come, they present that Pandavas are alive. Bhishma will become very happy. Dronacharya, Kripa, everybody become very happy. And then once they all exchange their happiness, then Dhritarashtra says, what should we do now? We thought that definitely Duryodhana does not like Pandavas, but we can't let Pandavas live in Panchala. So what should we do now? There are suggestions that we should attack and we should win the Pandavas in a war, and then everything will become Duryodhana's. What's your view? And Bhishma says, he will not support any war, any quarrel between the brothers, Pandavas and Dhritarashtra's children, because he sees both of them as same. He doesn't see any difference between Yudhishthira and his brothers and Duryodhana and his brothers. He sees them, all of them are equal, but Pandavas are just, they are always very good. They always follow the dharma. So Duryodhana has to learn from them. That's what Bhishma says. But he says that because Duryodhana is not going to do what should be done, he suggests a way saying that the kingdom should be split. Pandavas should be given a part of the kingdom, and that's the only way. So the only way is you should maintain the good name and reputation, because everybody, when everybody leaves this world, that means dies, the only thing that lasts in this world is the reputation. If you have a reputation, even though you are dead, your name will live for long. If you don't have a reputation, the moment you die, people will forget about you. So that's why fame is important, and you should not do any harm to Pandavas, because otherwise your name will be tainted. Once you have a bad name, you will be there forever in the history. So don't do that. And Bhishma says also that he was very happy that Kunti also survived the fire and the Varanavrat. And he says that people are already speaking ill of bad things about Purochana, Duryodhana, and the king himself. That's why he should do the right thing. And that right thing is give part of the kingdom or half the kingdom to Pandavas. So that's the Bhishma's suggestion. And then Dhritarashtra turns to Drona, and Drona says he also agrees with what Bhishma has said. And he says again, among all his students, he doesn't see any difference between Dhritarashtra, Yudhishthira and his brothers, and also Duryodhana and his brothers. But having seen them and knowing them, he suggests that whatever Bhishma is suggesting is the right thing. And he says that send a messenger immediately to Panchala before Pandavas themselves come here and ask for their share of the kingdom. You send a messenger, that's the right thing, and ask them to come here and then receive them happily and then give them the kingdom. With that, Karna jumps. He objects to whatever Bhishma and Drona are suggesting. He says that they have been looked after by the king very well, and now they are going against what king wishes. So he says that their true intentions are to make Pandavas stronger instead of supporting Dhritarashtra and his children. That's why they should fight and ignore what Bhishma and Drona are saying. And he says that Karna says, if the destiny is that this kingdom is going to continue with Dhritarashtra and his children, that is Duryodhana, then when we fight, we will win. If it is not destined for us, then we are going to lose and we will die. Let whatever that destiny is there, let it happen. Don't listen to these people. That's what he suggests to Dhritarashtra. With that, Drona becomes very angry. He says that you always think evil, and you are saying that what you are saying is good for the kingdom and the king, which is not true. If the king ignores whatever Bhishma and I'm saying, your kingdom, your generation will be terminated, exterminated. That means all of you will die. That's for sure. And with that, Drona walks away. And then Vidura then says again, Vidura jumps in. Vidura says again, hearing both sides, king should make a decision which is wise and which is as per the old people, like experienced people like Bhishma and Drona are saying. They are wise in years, they know everything, and they see both Pandavas and Duryodhana as equal. So they don't see any difference between them. So that's why give them the half kingdom. Okay. So Vidura also says that if you do decide to go in a war against Pandavas, remember that Arjuna is skilled in every weapon that's available, even both available to humans and also to his celestials. He knows everything. Bhima's strength, nobody is equal to him. And Yudhishthira, he has the patience, mercy, forgiveness, truth, and power, which means he can defeat anybody. And he is supported by Balrama. He has the support of Krishna. He has the support of Satyaki, Drupada, and all his army. So remember that where there is Krishna, there is always victory. So you will hear this sentence repeatedly again and again in Mahabharata. The famous one again, you hear Sanjay Uvacha, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Tatra Bhato Dhanudra. So same thing here Vidura says, okay, in this Parva, and the Adi Parva itself. So Vidura says that where there is Krishna, there is victory. So you must be very careful with what you are going to do. And with that, Dhritarashtra, with no option, because even though his son, his children, and Karna are suggesting that they should attack, he knows that they can't defeat Pandavas and Drupada, because Duryodhana already attacked, if you remember, already attacked Drupada once and got defeated. When Drona asked for his fees, he said capture Drupada, and Duryodhana and Karna were already defeated by that. And they could not win Draupadi in the Swayamvara. So they had many failures already. So Dhritarashtra realizes that, and if Drona and Bhishma are not in his party, then he can't win this. So he accepts the proposal and he sends Vidura to Panchala. He says that go immediately to Panchala, take a lot of jewelry and everything else, wealth and everything else to Pandavas and Draupadi, and bring them to the Hastinapura. And with that, Vidura sets out, he goes to Panchala. He goes there and he was welcomed by Drupada with respect, and he inquired about his welfare. And then Drupada meets Pandavas, Vasudeva, that is Krishna, and he embraces Kunti's son, okay, so that is Pandavas, and then he worships also Vasudeva, Krishna, okay. So once that's done, Vidura speaks in the name of Dhritarashtra. He says that it is not his words, it is Dhritarashtra's words. The words are that Dhritarashtra asked for the welfare and status how the Pandavas are and their welfare many times. He wanted to know, he was very happy that Pandavas survived the fire, and he was very happy that Pandavas went to Panchala and won the Swayamvara, and he wanted to send his blessings to Pandavas, and he was very happy that Kunti survived, and he also he sends his blessings to Kunti, and again the king has asked for the welfare of the Pandavas and Kunti. And he also says that Dhritarashtra, along with Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Drona, everybody is very happy, and he says that the king has asked him to request Pandavas with Draupadi and Kunti return to Hastinapura. So he gives that message, and after that, so Drupada says that he agrees that Pandavas should go to Hastinapura, return to Hastinapura, but he says that it depends on what Pandavas themselves decide. If Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, and Dinakula, Sahadeva, and Balrama and Krishna, who all know what is good and bad, if they agree, then I don't have any objection in Pandavas going back to Hastinapura. And Yudhishthira says he will do whatever Drupada and Krishna wishes, whatever they say, he will do it. He is okay to stay there. If everybody says don't go, he is okay to stay in Panchala, or he is okay to go to Hastinapura if everyone thinks that's the right thing. And Krishna says it is right time for Pandavas to go back to Hastinapura if King Drupada agrees. Look here how each one of them respect the other. So Drupada says Pandavas, it is Pandavas' wish, and Yudhishthira says it is Drupada and Krishna's wish, and Krishna says everybody got a view. Okay, everybody says saying they should go back to Hastinapura. Even Yudhishthira says he was willing to go, and Krishna also says they should go, but he doesn't say that you have to go because I'm saying it. He says that if Drupada agrees, then Pandavas should go. That's what Krishna says. And Drupada says if Krishna agrees, Pandavas should go. So everybody in agreement that Pandavas should go. So with that, Pandavas prepare for their journey. So they seek permission from Drupada, and Pandavas start their journey with Kunti, Krishna, that is Draupadi, and Vidura. On their way, they stopped in many places because it's a long journey. They stopped in many places near the river banks and forest, and they spent a lot of time. And so finally, they neared Hastinapura. Once they reached Hastinapura, hearing that they are approaching, Dhritarashtra sends his children, Vikarna, Chitrasena, and also Drona and Kripacharya to welcome them. And all the Hastinapura citizens, they gathered around the streets to welcome the Pandavas. Okay, they were very happy that to see Pandavas alive and coming back, because it's been a long time since they went to Varanavarat. They are now returning, and so everybody was happy. And Pandavas, when they arrived there, they first worshipped Dhritarashtra, then Bhishma, and all the elders that's there. They worshipped them and asked for the welfare of all the people, including the citizens. And then Pandavas went to their quarters. So they came and they went to their quarters. After some time, Pandavas staying in Hastinapura, Dhritarashtra slowly wanted to give the message that he's going to give a piece of the kingdom to part of the kingdom to Pandavas. So he asks Yudhishthira to his court and says, you go to Khandavaprastha. Khandavaprastha is a place, a village, okay, a town. Okay, you go to that place, okay, and there you make your own kingdom. You build your own kingdom, and so that there is no animosity between you and Duryodhana, you take up that place and without harming anybody, you live there, protected by Arjuna. You can make that part of the kingdom yours. And Yudhishthira, without saying anything, he agrees to that, and he takes leave, permission from Dhritarashtra, and then they set out of Hastinapura. They go to Khandavaprastha. Khandavaprastha is actually a desert land. Nobody lives there. It's a kind of desert land with nothing growing and no agriculture and nothing. But Yudhishthira, even knowing that, he goes there with Vasudeva, Krishna. He goes there and they go there and they worship that land first. And then they made it a beautiful place to live. So they had assistance from Krishna Dvaipayana, Vyasa, and they did all the religious ceremonies, performed all the things, and then they started building their own city. How did they build? So around the city, they built a trench, okay, as wide as sea. That means it's a huge trench, so the enemies can't come in. And they built a walls as well. So even if somebody crosses the trench, they have to climb the walls. Okay, it looked like Bhogavati, that is the place of Nagas. Okay, so it's looked like that. And then there they built a lot of mansions, okay, with large number of gates and panels and windows and everything else. Okay, each panel, each window, each house is stretching like wings of Garuda. It's huge. And then they looked for a gateways, okay, very high, okay, so that soldiers can stand there and watch the entire town. Any enemies or anybody coming, they can watch from that place, high towers. And then they built a lot of, they made a lot of weapons and everything ready, okay, so prepared everything so that they can protect themselves. And they had men training the people to become their own, build their army. They had everything prepared as a kingdom should. And at that time, so the mansion again, the houses, everything, they dressed that with all sort of luxury things. It looked like Indra's place. Okay, it looked like heaven, Amaravati, and people started calling that Khandavaprastha as Indraprastha. That is the city equal to Indra's city. So they started like that, and Pandavas acquired a lot of wealth. It looked like Kubera's mansion. Okay, their palace looked like Kubera's mansion. And when city was built like that, large numbers, when the city was built, because nobody was living, slowly people started coming to that place. Okay, so it is like migration. Okay, if there is something good, people start to migrate. So you see here as well. So Khandavaprastha, people started coming there. All the Brahmanas who were learned in Vedas, they come there, started living there. And then the merchants started coming there because the business was good. In that people started becoming rich, and the merchants started coming there. And all the people skilled in arts and wishing to take other jobs and everything started coming there. They started to this. So city slowly started building up. Okay, filling up. And not just the buildings and trenches and arms and weapons and things Pandavas built, but the city also, they built beautiful gardens with large forests and trees and everything else, lakes and things. So they filled like trees, amras, mango trees and other fruit trees, flowering trees like champakas, parijata, ketige and other things they built. So then they also built a lot of gardens. Okay, and in those gardens there are peacocks and kokilas, which is like blackbirds, singing birds. And then they had large lakes and ponds created where a lot of aquatic animals and birds were there. So it was very nice place, and as I said earlier, it looked like heaven. Okay, it looked like Indra's own place. So Pandavas settled there. And after Pandavas fully settled, Krishna said he will go back to his place, that is Dwaraka, and along with Balrama, he started his journey back to Dwaraka. So, listening to all this, Janameja, who was listening to all this story from Vaishampayana, he asks Vaishampayana, Pandavas, all of them married one girl, one Draupadi, right? How come there is no quarrel between them? Normally, brothers always, for one or other reasons, they argue. Here, all of them married the same girl, have the same wife. Still, they're not did not arguments. How that happened? How that happened that they did not fight over Draupadi, saying that I need Draupadi, I want Draupadi. Why? How they did not fight? So Vaishampayana explains, when Yudhishthira and his brothers were living happily, okay, with Draupadi, one day Narada comes there. Okay, so they were ruling happily. At that time, Narada comes, and Narada comes like always. Yudhishthira worships him with seat. He gives him arghya, that is to wash his hands, feet, and then worships him, gives him food and everything. And then Yudhishthira gives a message to Draupadi, and Draupadi got purified herself, and she comes and also worships the Devarishi, Narada. And once all that is done, so Draupadi goes back to her apartment, and Narada tells Pandavas that in private, that you should have a rule amongst yourself that you don't fight amongst yourself for Draupadi, like Sunda and Upasunda did in the past. Don't fight yourself among yourself and kill yourself or hurt yourself. So make sure that you don't do something like that when Sunda and Upasunda fought over Tilottama. And with this, Yudhishthira says, Rishi, tell us who is this Sunda, Upasunda, and why did they fight over Tilottama, and tell us all this story. So with that, Narada starts narrating his story. Okay. So Hiranyakashipu, you probably have heard about Hiranyakashipu, Prahlada, and their stories. So Hiranyakashipu, so yes, Pranil.
You were saying something called Tilottama. What is a Tilottama?
Yeah, I will tell you. That's the story. Okay. Sunda and Upasunda fought over Tilottama. Okay. So who is Tilottama? Who is Sunda Upasunda? Narada, just like you, Yudhishthira asked, who is this? Who are these people? Why did they fight? Okay. So Narada starts explaining the story. The story is, so here in Hiranyakashipu's race, there was a Daitya called Nikumba, and he had two sons called Sunda and Upasunda. Both of them were very strong. Okay, they were mighty asuras. They had a lot of energy, and they used to do whatever brother Sunda wants to do, same thing Upasunda agrees and does, and whatever Upasunda wanted to do, Sunda used to do. They never quarreled, they never argued about anything. They had same energy. They used to do same thing always. Okay, whether it is speaking or doing or whatever it is, they never went away from one another. Okay, so once they were always doing like that, they wanted to control, they had the desire to control all the three worlds. Okay, so after their initiation, that means their Upanayana and everything else, they went to Vindhya mountains, and there they started doing severe penance. In that penance, they gave up hunger, thirst, everything. Their hair grew into locks, and their head, everything they uttered, they gave up all the clothes and everything, tree barks and leaves and everything. They were covering themselves, and they were laying like that for many years. Okay, they were just living in that penance, for severe penance they did on that Vindhya mountain, and they raised their arm, eyes fixed, with one foot standing on a toe. They did like that for many years. Okay, so like that they were doing the penance, and the devas were worried about them, and they tried to obstruct their penance. They tried to send lot of people. They sent to tried to send apsaras, many apsaras and other people, but none of them distracted them. Okay, it seems those people, none of them, they try to create illusion that Upasunda, Upasunda's brothers, mothers, sisters, or family members, everybody in distress, and they try to create illusion and everything. Even then, Sunda Upasunda did not leave that place. They continued their penance, they continued their austerities, and finally, the deities, devas, they gave up. They gave up and they went to Brahma. And they went to Brahma, but at that time, Brahma himself was pleased by the penance of Sunda and Upasunda. He comes to them and he says, what are your wishes? Okay, and Sunda and Upasunda says that we have done this penance to attain power so that we can be lords of all the three worlds, and we also make us also immortal. That means no death for us. And hearing that, Brahma says that your penance, you did the penance to attain three worlds, which you will get. Okay, that is my blessing. You will become the lords of all the three worlds, but immortality is something I can't give. Okay, that's something I can't give you because that was not your objective. Okay, of the penance. So ask something else, some other method. So hearing that, Sunda and Upasunda thought about it a minute, and then they said, give us a boon that nothing that's created thing, whether it is mobile that moves or that doesn't move, okay, can kill us except each other, we each other. So that means Sunda has to kill Upasunda, Upasunda has to kill Sunda. They knew, the brothers knew that they will never fight each other. Okay, with that confidence, they said the only way for us to die is other brother killing us. And Brahma says, okay, so be it. And these asuras were very happy. They were happy that they become effectively immortal, because they knew that they were never going to fight with each other. So that means they will never have come across death. So they will live forever and they will have the three worlds. With that, they left that forest, Vindhya forest. They came to their town and they cleaned their hair and everything that's grown for many years. They dressed with ornaments and everything. They started a huge celebration. Okay, they started a festival like celebration. And once that celebration is over, they decide that they now need to take control of the three worlds. And with the counsel from the others, they commanded their forces and they attacked the devas, celestials and everything. And knowing that Brahma has given them the boon that they will become the lords, Indra and everybody left the heavens and they went to Brahma saying, okay, please, hey Brahma, rescue us. Because of your boon, Sunda and Upasunda are harassing us. Give us, help us. Okay. So then, while Indra went there, these two, Sunda and Upasunda, went to Patala. Okay. They went to Nagaloka. They took control of the Nagas. They went across the oceans and all the tribes and Mlechas and everybody, all the other kingdoms. So entire earth, heaven, Patala, downwards, everybody, all the world became their control. Once it became their control, they started ordering that anyone doing the sacrifice on earth, because once you pour this butter, ghee in sacrifice fire, it goes to devas. Okay, and devas become stronger from that. So Sunda and Upasunda order that if anybody doing any sacrifice, chop their head. Okay, so with that, all the soldiers, they started killing brahmanas and kings and everyone who is doing this, munis, and everybody started running and they could not do anything. All of them rishis along with devas went to Brahma. Okay, everything, religious activities, everything stopped. Okay, because of this, agriculture and everything started, towns and everything became like a desert land. All the ceremonies which were supposed to happen for the Pitrus, that is Shraddha and everything stopped. All the good things that's supposed to happen in a world stopped. Okay, so with that, the Sunda and Upasunda brothers went to Kurukshetra and there they made their kingdom. Okay, that their city, and they lived there. Here, all the Brahmashis, Rishis, Siddhas, Devas, everybody, including Shiva, Agni, Vayu, Soma, that is Chandra, Surya, Indra, everybody, Valakilyas, everybody went to Brahma. Okay, so they went to Brahma and said, this is the problem we have. Sunda and Upasunda creating so much problem for us. Help us. You gave the boon, please help us. And Brahma thinks about this and he says that the only way they can be defeated or even killed is if we create a fight between them. With that, Indra says, we have tried this already. We sent many apsaras to them, but they were not going to fight over it. So with that, Brahma asked Vishwakarma to, Vishwakarma is the architect of Devas. He asked Vishwakarma to create a beautiful girl, okay, who can capture the hearts of any man. Okay, so even those who are very strong, those such a girl, those very strong, they also will be captivated by this girl. Create such a beautiful, good-looking girl. And with that, Vishwakarma started creating a body of a girl. Okay, he created with very minute parts also. He focused and created part by part, gem by gem. It looked so beautiful, that girl. And she looked like a Shri herself, that's Lakshmi herself. And because that girl was created from very minute part, okay, like tila. Tila is not mustard, it's sesame seed. Okay, small, very tiny sesame seed. So Vishwakarma gave attention even to a small, tiny part of that girl, like a tila, okay, sesame seeds size. Every part of that body he gave attention. She became called as Tilottama. And that girl bowed down to Brahma once she got fully finished, created by Vishakarma, she got the name as Tilottama, and Tilottama bowed down to Brahma and said, asked what she need to be done, what she need to do. Brahma says, go to Sunda and Upasunda, make yourself, do yourself such things that those asuras start arguing over your beauty, and to acquire you, they start arguing over each other and they fight with each other. And Tilottama agrees, and she goes to Sunda and Upasunda, and she goes again. While she was going, all the devas assembled there. Okay, the rishis, devas, everybody assembled. She was starting walking from Brahma, leaving that place. Everybody started turning their head. Okay, so even Mahadeva, Shiva lost his tranquility. Okay, and Shiva turned his head. Okay, and each head he turned, he got a head on that direction. And so rishis also turned their head. Okay, one by one, everybody started there and started looking at her. And so finally, so these kings, so the Sunda and Upasunda, they were living very happily in Kurukshetra with control over all the three worlds. They were living like that. One day, when they were in the mountain range roaming around, they come across Tilottama. Okay, they come across Tilottama, and they started arguing that she is mine, she is mine, she is my wife, she is my wife. And Sunda says, I am your elder brother, she should be my wife. And but Upasunda says, no, she is your sister-in-law, don't look at her like that. Okay, and they started arguing, and they already had a lot of drinks and intoxicated with their power and everything else, wealth and everything. They started arguing, and argument turned into a fight, and they started fighting with each other. And finally, they, with that fight, got into very ugly, and both of them killed each other. Sunda and Upasunda killed each other, and Brahma and Upasunda, Brahma and all the other devas, rishis, everybody came there and thanked Tilottama for her help. And Brahma blessed her that Tilottama will live in the world of Adityas. Okay, and she will have she will have the power to go to any region, any place she wishes. Okay, and that's the story Narada narrates. And once he narrates that, Narada tells Pandavas that you make a rule so that no, you will also not get into a similar situation like Sunda and Upasunda. And with that, Pandavas make a rule that if any one of them sitting with Draupadi, if other person comes, that other person has to go to forest and live in the forest for 12 years and live as a brahmachari. That means, okay, he live as a brahmachari's life for 12 years. They make a rule amongst themselves. And we will see what happens after that in the Arjuna Parva, Arjuna Vanavasa Parva next time. Next week, we will see that. Any questions today? Okay, in that case, we will see next week. Okay. Thank you.